This is Ron Kelleher with the Inspired Leadership Podcast, episode number 531. Today's episode is entitled 5 Valuable Leadership Lessons in the Story of Korah's Rebellion.
Hello, and welcome to Inspired Leadership, the podcast for Christian leaders in the marketplace who want to be the best leaders they can be. And now your host, Ron Kelleher.
Managing employees is one of the most challenging aspects of running a business. While most employees are committed to their jobs, sometimes they become rebellious and refuse to follow instructions or comply with company policies. Rebellious employees can disrupt the workforce, affecting productivity and morale, as well as potentially causing harm to the organization's reputation. In this podcast, we'll explore the story of Korah's rebellion and the leadership lessons that apply to us today. The story of Korah's rebellion, as recounted in Numbers 16, contains several lessons on leadership. The rebellion of Korah, Dathan, and Abiram against Moses and Aaron is a tale of pride, disobedience, and the consequences of failing to respect authority. So, first up, the importance of respecting authority. The story of Korah, Dathan, and Abiram's rebellion against Moses and Aaron in Numbers 16 emphasizes the importance of respecting authority. The narrative demonstrates that rebellion against God-appointed leadership can lead to severe consequences. In Numbers 16, 1-3, Korah, Dathan, and Abiram challenged the authority of Moses and Aaron, saying, "You've gone too far. The whole community is holy, every one of them, and the Lord is with them. Why then do you set yourselves above the Lord's assembly?" In response to their rebellion, Moses warned them of the consequences of their actions, saying in Numbers 16:9, "Isn't it enough for you that God of Israel has separated you from the rest of the Israelite community and brought you near himself to do the work at the Lord's tabernacle and to stand before the community and minister to them?" Despite this warning, Korah, Dathan, and Abiram continued in their rebellion, and as a result, the ground opened up and swallowed them and their families. This tragic event reminds us that God has placed leaders in authority over his people, and our responsibility is to respect and submit to that authority. In conclusion, the story of Korah, Dathan, and Abiram in Numbers 16 underscores the importance of respecting those in positions of authority. We're called to submit to those to whom God has placed in leadership over us and work together towards a common goal. The second issue is the dangers of pride. Korah, Dathan, and Abiram's pride led them to challenge Moses and Aaron's leadership, saying, "You've gone too far. The whole community is holy, every one of them, and the Lord is with them. Why then do you set yourselves above the Lord's assembly?" They were so focused on their desire for power and influence, they failed to see the consequences of their actions. The result of their rebellion was severe. The ground opened up and swallowed them and their families, and fire consumed 250 men who had joined them in their rebellion. This serves as a warning to leaders to be humble and respect those in positions of authority rather than letting their pride blind them to the consequences of their actions. And number 3, the need for clear communication. The rebellion was sparked by a misunderstanding of Moses and Aaron's intentions. Korah and his followers accused Moses and Aaron of exalting themselves above the community and demanded that the community as a whole be made holy. However, this was not Moses and Aaron's intention, and they responded by explaining that God had chosen them for their role as leaders. This shows the importance of clear communication in leadership. Effective communication is essential for leaders to convey their vision and goals to their followers. Therefore, leaders must ensure that their message is clear, concise, and understood by their followers. Furthermore, leaders must also be willing to listen and communicate with their followers. Leaders who are open to feedback and actively listen to their followers can avoid misunderstandings and conflicts. Effective communication is a two-way street. Leaders must be willing to engage in dialogue with their followers to ensure everyone is on the same page. Number 4, the importance of addressing conflict. The importance of addressing conflict is a recurring theme throughout the Bible, and the story of Korah's rebellion is no exception. In Numbers 16, we see how Moses and Aaron responded to the rebellion by confronting the leaders and seeking a resolution. Moses invites Korah and his followers to present themselves before the Lord the next day, indicating his willingness to address the conflict. When the rebels refuse to obey Moses, he seeks guidance from God and devises a plan to resolve the conflict. Moses then tells the people to separate themselves from the rebels and confronts Korah and his followers directly, challenging their actions and motivations. Moses also offers a way for the rebels to reconcile with God and avoid any further consequences. This story highlights the importance of addressing conflict promptly and effectively. Leaders must approach conflict calmly and humbly, seeking to understand the other side and find a resolution that benefits everyone. And finally, number 5, the consequences of disobedience. This story illustrates the consequences of disobedience, both for the rebels and those who followed them. Leaders should make it clear that disobedience will not be tolerated and that there are consequences for actions that go against the goals and values of the group. The consequences of disobedience are a prominent theme throughout the Bible. For example, in the story of Korah's rebellion, we see the severe consequences that resulted from their disobedience to Moses and Aaron. The ground opened up under the rebels. They, along with their whole families and all their possessions, were swallowed up. Ultimately, the story of Korah, Dathan, and Abiram reminds us that obedience to God and those in positions of authority is essential for success and blessing in our lives. Well, in conclusion, the story of Korah's rebellion provides valuable lessons for leaders in every field. The importance of respecting authority, the dangers of pride, the need for clear communication, the necessity of addressing conflict, and the consequences of disobedience are all important takeaways from this story. By learning from the mistakes of Korah, Dathan, and Abiram, leaders can become more effective and successful in their roles. Ultimately, the story of Korah's rebellion serves as a reminder that authentic leadership is not about personal power or influence, but about serving the needs of others and working to a common goal. Well, that's it for this week, and as always, questions and comments are welcome. Have you dealt with rebellion in your organization? And if so, how did you deal with it? I'd love it if you'd come over to the website at ronkelleher.com/episode 531 and leave me a question or a comment. And as always, before we go, I'd like to ask you to do me a quick favor, and that is to hop on over to whatever podcast service you're listening to this on. Leave a ranking for the show and a comment if you wish. It does help us get the show into the hands of more and more people. So I thank you in advance for that and pray that God would help us all to be the powerful and the inspired leaders He intends us to be. That's it for this episode of Inspired Leadership. You'll find a complete transcript of this episode on my website at www.ronkelleher.com. My prayer now is that you'll go out and be the powerful, inspired leader that God intends us to be.
Thanks for listening to the Inspired Leadership Podcast at www.ronkelleher.com.